We're back with breaking news. Crowds getting a little out of control now as fans celebrate Mexico's big World Cup win tonight in Santa Ana.
That's right, SkyCal made it to Santa Ana, and our Mike Rogers at the desk monitoring with what's going on, Mike.
Yeah, you know, Juan and Susie, we told you we were going to keep an eye on this one because we had seen some video of things getting a little bit rowdy down here, some rocking of cars. SkyCal got overhead, and that is what we've seen here. You see a very large crowd. Look at that truck right there in the center of your screen there that they're kind of rocking as it goes through. It looks like there's something in the back there as well. So it's unclear if these people are a part of this. Look at the Jeep. Brian, go left a little bit. You see the Jeep there that people are on the roof of. Right there in the center of your screen with that flag. So you see people climbing all over that car.
Oh, wow.
We've seen burnouts going through here. Some of these are fans. As you can see, they're in the Jeep, but they're obviously doing some very dangerous activities. Now, we have not seen any sign at all of law enforcement in this scene. Now, the truck is getting rocked, but there are a lot of people out here. You can see they've kind of formed their own little, crowd control here where they are letting, and then some burnouts there. We see that smoke coming down, Brian. If you want to pan down a little bit, we'll see some of that as well. But so lots of smoke plumes. That's a huge smoke plume coming out of that car right there. So this is pretty active. This is the most active we've seen, although we understand that there are other parts of the region, Huntington Park, Pacoima, starting to pop off as well with some of this stuff, guys.
The nice thing, Mike, it's a narrow street, so it looks like the activity is concentrated on those streets right now.
Yeah, when you see that little bit of a wider shot, there's nothing outside of this really intersection.
That's
and
good.
Surrounding this intersection a little bit. Obviously, concerns over the safety aspects of it when you've got those burnouts and other things that are happening there, right there in the center of your shot. As Brian pans in a little bit, I was trying to figure out who was doing that. We saw a lot of smoke, and I can't tell. Oh, there is a car underneath there, right there. That Mustang. That always makes you nervous, right? Because if that person lets off the gas the wrong way or has the wheel pointed the wrong way, that car is going to shoot out into the crowd, which is obviously a big concern. Mostly what we see during street takeovers and things like that. So this is obviously a little bit more intense than I'm sure they would like it to be. But again, so far we've not seen any sign of the Santa Ana Police Department, though we did see Duke, which is the helicopter down there overhead a little while ago.
So, Mike, I'm assuming then that you're not seeing any street closures either then, because you're talking about Huntington Park and in East LA, there are law enforcement out there already, and there are some street closures. Yeah,
there are, and this does not appear to be the case here. So in those other cities, as we mentioned, the CHP, the Huntington Park Police Department, they had already preemptively closed a lot of these streets. They dealt with this last week in those areas. I don't recall if Santa Ana dealt with anything like this when Mexico won last week, but certainly this is a much more intense crowd. You even saw that last time the truck was doing burnouts. They started shaking the back of it. So obviously not something you want to see. And I'm just looking, and I don't see any law enforcement at all, even kind of staging, not in parking lots or anything like that. So we'll see what Santa Ana PD's plan is, if they're just going to let this die out by itself and, not engage with these partiers here in the streets, but certainly not something that they are interested in seeing. And again, there was a police helicopter that was overhead with this a little while ago. It looks like they may have gone to get fuel, but nothing overhead right now.
Very large crowds gathering there in Santa Ana as well as Huntington Park. This is after the World Cup win of Mexico against the Czech Republic. SkyCal is overhead. We saw some trucks being rocked back and forth, a large crowd gathering there in downtown Santa Ana. And right now, Suze, it looks like things are pretty calm. It looks like revelers are trying to make a parade of cars down this main drag.
Yeah, it's true. And you can see one of those cars getting rocked once again, as one was mentioning. Many of these cars just trying to get through the street here. But as Mike mentioned, these could, just be people who are also fans, maybe getting out at one of the celebrations and just trying to get home, or just also celebrating, taking part in what's happening. The live feeling right now that's in Santa Ana right now, just after Mexico wins.
Right. You hope that this isn't anybody who's unknowingly driving into this that's getting rocked like that. I did see with some of the cars there were people inside that were wearing jerseys. The cars had flags. So, they may be a part of this as well. But hopefully there's nobody unknowingly driving in and getting their car
And you
rocked.
haven't seen any street closures, right, Mike? I think we
Not
answered
at all.
this earlier. So no street closures. So technically there could be somebody who just accidentally drove down this main drag. But I'm guessing the crowds and the noise may have kind of given you a heads up not to go down the street, but you never know.
Yeah, it's true. And let's look at that man with the flag just right in front of that car, blocking that car's way. So definitely don't want to see that, because, that's when the whole crowd gets around one car and you don't know what could happen at that point. Again, many people surrounding this one SUV here, as you can see, being rocked back and forth. I can't imagine the people inside the person inside that car wants this to happen, even though they do want to celebrate too, even if they did. Again, unclear who these people driving through this street are, but we're assuming if they are people who are also celebrating.
Well, in the truck, you got people standing in the bed while they're shaking it too, which you don't want anybody to fall out. And again, the donut or the burning out the tires there, you hit the pedal the wrong way or your steering wheel's not facing the right way, and you're going to go right into that crowd. And it may not be intentional, but it's certainly very dangerous.
Yeah, that definitely is the dangerous part here, Mike, because we're looking these crowds kind of approach the trucks, rock them back and forth for a little bit, and then step away, and the car keeps moving. But we're getting now to the point where we're seeing some oncoming traffic kind of coming head to head here. So, the space on the street is becoming a little more narrow, and the people are still there in the streets partying the Mexico win.
Yeah, people sitting on the tailgate of that pickup truck there, rocking it back and forth again. Of course, people are very excited that Mexico won. A big diaspora of Mexican people in Santa Ana, obviously. And, this is a huge win for Mexico. And obviously, a lot of people are excited. But we did see some celebrations getting out of hand last week when Mexico won. So, of course, law enforcement, which we haven't seen yet in the city of Santa Ana, but in other cities won, like in Huntington Park last week and in East LA with the LA County Sheriff's Department. They certainly don't want to see these celebrations get out of hand or dangerous.
And earlier tonight, we saw our Lori Perez. She was with a group of fans. There was lots of fun, lots of music. Didn't seem to be any problem there. So we're hoping that even though we're not on the ground here in Santa Ana, that this continues to just kind of be a big celebration in the street. And as SkyCal opens up a little bit, Susie, you can see that most of the action is concentrated right there in the center of town.
That's right. If you're just joining us here on CBS LA at 8, this is breaking news, a World Cup celebration in Santa Ana. A huge crowd down there, getting a little out of hand. The most we've seen, really, perhaps the most biggest offense we've seen, Juan. It's people getting in front of other people's cars and rocking other people's cars.
Yeah, and as Mike was saying, no street closures, no tactical alerts. My guess is police are nearby, just monitoring the situation. And for now, this just looks like a big street fair, street celebration. I guess the scariest part is just watching those cars being rocked back and forth. With enough, force and momentum, you could technically flip the car over, but we're not seeing it get to that point.
It's true. Well, the celebration happening in Santa Ana, and there are others throughout Southern California tonight, one being in Huntington Park, where there are some street closures to report, and also in East LA along Whittier Boulevard, where we often see these celebrations. And so far in Santa Ana, what we've been seeing is people getting closer to these cars, almost like a parade of cars stopping there, people getting in front and then rocking the cars a little bit. But we haven't seen any law enforcement out here. The Santa Ana Police Department nowhere to be seen, but as Juan mentioned, perhaps deliberate because of the fact that they want to let people celebrate freely and not, threaten them with any kind of, law enforcement presence in that regard.
Yeah, and Susie, there is sometimes a tactic to do that, right? I mean, sometimes they'll let these things just kind of play out on their own here and just kind of see how things go. But at this point, there is this very large crowd in Santa Ana. There was no law enforcement nearby, as we can see from the SkyCal shot. It's important to point out, too, that this is about a block, here where this is all happening. This is not a large swath of the downtown city. This is an area of 4th and Sycamore where all of this is going on. And SkyCal showing you that kind of wider shot to see that things around the area are kind of functioning as normal. Just this one area where things are getting, a little rowdy. We have seen similar situations over in the East LA area along Whittier Boulevard. Again, that's an area we expect that to happen. That happens whenever we have kind of a sports win or a sports event that goes on. Huntington Park also. Now, the difference between the area of East LA and Huntington Park is in East LA and Huntington Park, the CHP, the Huntington Park Police Department, had barricades set up. They had things in their streets so people couldn't get out there, or at least so vehicle traffic couldn't get out there. Here in Santa Ana, though, that's not the case. Even there on the left, it looks like maybe a bar or potentially a nightclub is set up with lights and things like that. So this is an area that was not put together. Is that somebody on the roof? Look at that, Brian, if you can get in there on the roof of that bus stop. They're climbing on the top of that Mustang there is doing some burnouts, as we see there. And of course, that's the dangerous part. That's the person there on the left that I was referencing that has been climbing up on top of the bus bench there. So a lot of issues here. And of course, you worry about burnouts like this. That's when things can really get dangerous. The car can inadvertently get into the crowd and obviously cause some significant injuries, especially when you have the crowd that is so tightly packed this way here in Santa Ana. That Mustang was doing those burnouts. So hopefully this kind of calms down on its own. Again, there is no law enforcement in the area that are kind of monitoring this at this point. There is a police helicopter that just took out of Fullerton, so we'll see if they come back over this. There was one there earlier that was monitoring the situation as well. So we're going to continue to watch this as we end CBS LA at 8 and begin CBS LA at 9.
CBS LA at 9 starts with breaking news.
And our breaking news continues on CBS LA at 9, a large World Cup celebration in Santa Ana.
CBS LA assignment editor Mike Rogers monitoring the situation from the desk. And Mike, this thing continues to evolve there as we see fireworks here.
Yeah, that's the first time we've seen fireworks, Gio and Rudabeh. This is obviously intensifying, as you just said, here in Santa Ana. People are excited about the World Cup win, maybe a little bit too excited. The fireworks now being brought into the picture here, something we had not seen previous to this, our coverage here at 9 o'clock. But a large crowd there, no police there in Santa Ana, people doing burnouts, other things like that, as they celebrate Mexico's win in this portion of the World Cup. So where we're at here, for people that don't know, this is 4th and Sycamore in the downtown Santa Ana area. And as we've been saying, this is pretty contained to that area. It has not expanded outside of that block. It is heavily concentrated here in this area. No sign of the Santa Ana Police Department, though certainly they know about it. There was a law enforcement helicopter over this a little while ago. So this crowd is, I'd say, several hundred people or a couple hundred people that are down there at this point. No injuries that we've seen just yet, although there is concern over the way some of the people are driving and these burnouts that are being conducted. And of course, now we're adding fireworks to the mix as well. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on this here as this continues to go. But Gio and Rudabeh, this is one of a couple of locations across Southern California where they have celebrations that are going on after the World Cup win by Mexico.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. And of course, we'll continue our coverage of these World Cup celebrations as the night continues.